Boker Tov. We are day 29 of the Bekiim Bahalacha. Okay, so we saw this first halacha, Kuf Chavtet, I believe, yesterday. Yeah. So Kuf Chavtet we did yesterday, I believe. Kuf Lamed. Okay, it's going to be 130. כשחל תשעה באב ונדחה התענית ליום הראשון. When תשעה באב falls out on Shabbat and it's pushed off to Sunday. מותר להתרחץ בחמין בכל ימי השבוע שלפניו. You can wash the entire week before, ואין דין שבוע שחל בו נוהג בזה, and there's no הלכה, there's no דין of שבוע שחל בו during that week, or during that year. וכסברה הראשונה שהובאה בשולחן ערוך, בסימן תקנ"א סעיף ד', and like the Shulchan Aruch says in 551, Saif 4. Okay? Very good. Kuf Lamed Aleph, 131. מותר לטבול לשם טהרה, להתפלל ולקרוא קריאת שמע. You can go to the mikveh in order to pray or to read קריאת שמע. משום היכון לקראת אלוהיך ישראל, because this is of the pasuk of היכון לקראת אלוהיך ישראל, prepare yourself to greet Hashem your God. שאין זו רחיצה לשם תענוג, because doing so would not be considered a pleasure, rather it's for the mitzvah. ואם קשה עליו לטבול במים צוננים, if it's going to be tough for him to go in cold water, מותר לטבול במים פושרים או חמים, he can go to the mikveh in warm or hot water even. שאין רחיצה אסורה בימים אלו מן הדין, אלא מנהג. Because washing during these days is only a minhag and not actual halacha. ולכן אין להחמיר לעניין טבילה. Therefore, when it comes to טבילה, when it comes to going to the mikveh, we can be lenient with this. 143. Okay, I think we need to do 142. Yeah, we said, yeah. That was yesterday. Okay. Okay. Here, it says, 143, the Maran Rishon LeZion wrote it in this manner to demonstrate that it is permissible for Ashkenazic Jews as well, even though they refrain from bathing even in cold water, they may immerse in a mikveh. The sources for this, several responses of Ashkenazic poskim are cited in Chazon Ovadia. Okay. Vayvarach David, Tzitz Eliezer, Shevet HaLevi, all those allow it even for the Ashkenazim to, even though they say that you're not supposed to wash with cold water, but to go to the mikveh, you would be allowed to go to the mikveh. Okay? Maran Rishon LeZion told us clearly that it's permissible for Ashkenazic Jews to immerse in a mikveh, and the halacha here is to permit Ashkenazic Jews who otherwise refrain from bathing. Okay? 132, Kuf Lamed Bet. Hayoledet, rochetzet bechamin kidalka. A woman who has just given birth can rinse herself and wash herself with hot water normally. Af b'shavua shechal bo Tisha B'Av, even if it's during the week of Tisha B'Av. Ki lo asru ela rechitza shel ta'anug, because they only forbade pleasure washing. Ve'od shekadvu poskim shelo asru rechitza ela la'anashim v'lo nashim. And furthermore, many of the poskim write that the washing is only forbidden for the men and not for the women. Why? So that their husbands don't become chas v'shalom disgusted with them. וכן אישה מעוברת מותר לה לרחוץ בחמין בחודש תשיעי כדי להקל מעליה עצר העיבור. And the same thing applies for during the 9th month. A woman that is pregnant can bathe herself with hot water to relieve the stress of the pregnancy. Okay, 144. Note 144 on the bottom. We said for Sfaradim there's absolutely no problem, because there's never Shavua Shechal Bo. Yes, you're never gonna have Erev Shabbat Shavua Shechal Bo.
השנה שבת יכולים לפני הכניסה של זה להתפלח?
Of course.
לא יכול להיות לך תשעה באב ביום ש...
לא,
ויום מתי?
לא לפני.
איזה ימים יכול לקרות?
לא לפני כניסת השבת.
ראשון.
So, one second. You're never going to have, listen, if you, Erev Shabbat, let's say Erev Shabbat, that means that what? Shavuot Shechal Bo, it would be on Shabbat.
כן.
If it's on Shabbat, what happens to it? We push it off to Sunday, which means that there's no Shavuot Shechal Bo.
תשעה באב אחרי יום שלישי.
Okay.
צום.
Yeah.
נכון? מתחיל.
Yeah.
ראשון שני.
אז אתה נכנס לשבת בשבוע שחל בו.
כן.
לא, מה זה שבוע שחל בו? שבוע שחל בו מתחיל ממוצאי שבת. שבוע שחל בו starts from מוצאי שבת. Not the 1 week before Tisha B'Av. שבוע שחל בו is the week that Tisha B'Av is inside of it, starting from מוצאי שבת.
אבל מותר בשבת, מנחה, לפני מנחה או משהו להתקלח, לקחת מקלחת קרה.
You can do that even during the week. Why do you have to do it on Shabbat?
Because then somebody is going to be the whole day.
תרגיש קצת תשעה באב, מה יש? מה הבעיה?
אבל מה הבעיה להתקלח?
אל תדאג, עם הצום אני מרגיש פה טוב, עם קפה אני מרגיש פה טוב מאוד. אני לא צריך עוד תוספת.
תוספת ריח.
I don't like showering on Shabbat at all.
I understand. Okay, so
אתה רוצה להרגיש את השבת?
לא, באמת, זה לא שבתי.
אגיד לך, לפעמים יש ימים מאוד חמים.
אם אתה בתוך הבית... No. If you're inside the house learning, הכל בסדר.
יש לכם מזגן בהול.
ברכות של ברוך אתם בסדר, אתם הולכים ואתם רק מעניינים את
הידיים. יאללה, בוא נתקדם פה. Okay, so 144. Harav Yaakov Castro and the unpublished Sefer Shulchan Menachim both ruled that married women have no restriction against bathing so that they do not fall in disfavor in their husband's eyes. Although Maran de Rishon LeZion cited this opinion, it does not seem that he meant to rule that all married women may bathe. He specifically ruled that a pregnant woman may bathe or that a woman after birth may bathe. So it is obvious that other married women should not bathe. It may be that he cited these poskim to strengthen his ruling permitting a woman to bathe after giving birth. Alternatively, it may be that we rely on these poskim and allow married women to bathe in hot water in a case where it is obvious that if she does not bathe, it will cause stress to the couple's relationship. Of course, this problem can be solved by bathing in cold water if she can do that. When we asked the Milan about this, he agreed that if necessary for the couple's relationship, a woman may bathe, but she should use only lukewarm water if at all possible. Okay. Kuf Lamed Gimel 133. If a woman's mikveh falls out to be the night after Tisha B'Av, that it's impossible for her to wash and to clean herself on Tisha B'Av itself. She does not have to wash herself and clean herself the day before Tisha B'Av. Rather, she can wash herself on Motzei Tisha B'Av. Yeah, she's going to the mikveh Motzei Tisha B'Av, but all the achanot she can do after Tisha B'Av goes out, and she doesn't have to do them before Tisha B'Av starts. Okay, and then make sure to keep herself clean. And a woman going to the mikveh after Tisha B'Av is allowed to eat before cleaning herself and preparing herself for the mikveh. But she has to just make sure that she cleans her teeth very well before she's going to go afterwards. Okay. Mutar lecholeh Kuf Lamed Daled 134. מותר לחולה הצריך לרחוץ גופו לצורך רפואתו, לרחוץ אף בשבוע שחל בו תשעה באב. A person who is unwell that needs to wash himself to be better is allowed to do so even during the week of Tisha B'Av. ואין צריך שיהיה חולה גמור, he doesn't have to be completely sick, אלא כל שעושה לרפואה, anything that he's doing it for the purpose of getting better, שפר דמי is going to be okay. וגם לחלש בלבד מותר. And even for someone that is weak, it's also going to be allowed if he's doing it for a refuah, for feeling better. וכן, הסובל מתחורים. someone Hashem Yishmor and Lo Alenu is suffering from hemorrhoids, sherefuato lishev be'ambatya im mayim chamim, that part of the healing process is to sit in warm water, okay, to sit in a bowl of warm water, like for an hour or 2 hours. מותר לעשות כן בשבוע שחל בו תשעה באב, כיוון שאינו עושה כן אלא לרפואה. He's only doing so for רפואה, he's only doing so for feeling better. So therefore, okay, that's what the doctor says, but here they say that we're doing it in warm water. Okay. Let's see. Okay, 135. Nowadays that we're not careful about washing or bathing the kids every day, it seems like we should be careful with washing them during these days. Unless there's a need to remove from them dirt and all or things like that. Mihu Yesh mi shekatav, there are those there's someone that wrote, shemekivan shekama rofim bizman hazeh, because there are doctors nowadays, makpidim sheyesh le'chotz hatinokot bechol yom. They say that you're supposed to wash the children every day. Ve'im ki en dalkenu le'chotz otam bechol yom, even though we don't do it every single day. Mikol makom kama pa'amim b'shavua noagim le'ochtzam. At least a few times a week is necessary to wash them because it's important for the health of the children. If the child didn't reach the age of chinuch that he should start mourning for Yerushalayim, you're allowed to. He's going to be allowed to wash with hot water. Okay. Now 145. Maran Rishon LeZion argued that it must be permissible to bathe children during these days, since it cannot be any more strict than the rules of Kippur. And the Talmud permitted bathing children on Yom Kippur. The Talmud teaches us, Abaye said that a child's development depends on bathing in hot water, and therefore it is permitted. Nevertheless, the Magen Avraham wrote that since we do not bathe our children daily, we should not bathe them on Yom Kippur. The Chaim and Moshe disagreed, claiming that there is no difference between the era of the Talmud and our times. If one's habit is to bathe the child every day, that is how he develops, and he may be bathed during these days as well. But if one's habit is not to bathe him daily, he should refrain from bathing him during these days. Maran concluded that since in our culture we do not bathe the children daily, we should refrain from bathing them during these days unless they have become dirty. He cited the Levush and the Mishnah Mu'ah, who permitted bathing only very small children who are liable to get their heads infested without it, chas v'shalom. He cited also that the Sefer Leket Yosher, who permitted bathing the children in honor of Shabbat only, but not in other circumstances. Afterwards, Maran cited the responsa Vayashov Yosef, who wrote that in our times the pediatricians insist that a child be bathed daily. Even though many people do not follow these instructions, it is definitely necessary to bathe them at least several times a week to maintain the child's health. Therefore, as long as the child is not matured enough to mourn over the destruction of Yerushalayim, he may be bathed in hot water. The Oziel wrote that it is permissible to bathe children under bar mitzvah age during this week, but if they are capable of bathing themselves, the adults should not bathe them. If the child is too small to bathe himself, though an adult may bathe him. Okay, Kuf Lamed Vav 136. Din shtifa v'hadacha haritzva b'yamim elu nitba'er le'el siman Kuf Chav Zayin. The halacha of washing and sweeping the floor was already explained in 127, where we said that there's no isul at all during the Shavua Shechal Bo, only on Tisha B'Av it would be a problem, and according to the minhagim, each one according to their minhag.